Go-to-market seems to be a hot topic in forums like these. I think the last 2 talks prior were specifically on go-to-market. So stick with me. I want to try to change the lens a little bit because considering our audience, we're here to learn about go-to-market. We're here to refine that skill set so that we can launch our products in a smooth fashion and get our Spotify lists from our product managers, right? So a little bit about me, I'm Associate Director at Sprinklr. Sprinklr is a global organization headquartered in New York. We're growing day by day. We've got about 1,500 employees across our global offices, and one of those offices is here in Austin. What do? We're kind of in that CXM social space. We're really wanting to deliver those good customer experience opportunities, and of course we do that through our SaaS platform. We work with a lot of different brands across the globe and are excited to do that and create that fluid experience again through our platform. And we do that in one cloud across 5 products, all supported with AI. Now that's all well and good, but I tell you all of this because when we do our go-to-markets and we talk about our products, our features, our capabilities, there is a large swath of people to coordinate with. Our sales team, our solution consultants, our enablement managers, pre, post-sales, success managers. We have several products, we have several features. How are we going to make sure that our customers are buying all of it? Understanding that scale is hopefully what I'm wanting to explain to you when you're going to your key stakeholders and talking to them about a go-to-market. It's just landed on your plate. You now have to lead your go-to-market for your company. What does that mean? How are you going to do it? How are you going to pull in your stakeholders and align them to your plan? What I really liked about our last talk is that we are positioned as leaders and we have the opportunity to both think left brain and right brain. But oftentimes as a leader, we're looked to lead, to deliver a plan, to give them, our team, guidance on what steps do we need to take to execute a solid plan to bring in that revenue. So let's talk about that. What can you use to encourage your stakeholders and help clarify some of the steps that go along with a go-to-market? So today we'll cover the simple definition. Let's define go-to-market. Let's define the roles as a product marketer and as those other stakeholders. Let's talk through our development plan. What's our workflow? How are we pulling people in? When does your solution consultant need to be pulled in? When does your sales team need to be trained? Let's lay that out. Let's also identify what stakeholders you will be working with and who you should, again, pull in at the right time. And of course, at those last steps, let's empower. Let's provide some of those templates. Let's provide some of those guidance so that those team members know what to do when, and they feel comfortable and confident when they're delivering it. So in simple terms, we always want to start with defining our launch and what that means, and of course, what our role as a product marketer is in that launch. And I want to give a kudos to our community here in the PMA Association, because this visual came from our community in our Slack channel. But in simple terms, our launch is a cross-functional effort that's led by our product marketer, but we're facilitating cross-functional teams across the board. And you can see in this diagram the many different things that are going to be pulled in at different aspects, but require some coordination. I also like to describe that launches aren't just one massive event, right? They're not just your product management team coming up to you and say, hey, in a week, can we launch this product? Well, in the same flip of the coin we've heard today as well. You're not going to go to your demand gen team. You're not going to go to your PR and your press. Hey, I've got a great product coming out the door. Can we launch it next week? There is a full scope. There's a full plan that needs to be put in place. And again, those types of definitions are really important. And they happen in phases. Definition partnership, that early acquisition and understanding of what is the need in the marketplace and how can our product solve for it. Limited availability, pressure testing the success. Do we really have a product that fits? And of course, your general availability, that really initiates that massive launch, that big splash in the marketplace. So again, defining those 3 steps with your stakeholders is really key so they understand, again, that full process. It's not one event, it's not one webinar. It's a much longer event. So starting with your definition partnership, what does that mean? What actually goes into that? That's going to be some of the research we talked about in many of the sessions we've heard today and yesterday. It's external, what's out in the ether. It's internal, what fits with our specific product, our specific solution, our customers and their problems. And those two combinations help us build those prototypes. Now, oftentimes, a lot of this work and this type of initiation is done with the product team. But because they have so much information with what learnings they've had and what development is doing, we want to encourage a common ground. And we define this as a toolbox. And the toolbox is a collaborative way for the product management team and every effort that they're doing to put into a one central repository. Now, sometimes this might be Jira, which is great if it can be, but other times it might be another document that's more self-serve, maybe possibly a Google Doc or other shared PowerPoint. This also allows you to have a stopping point to say, okay, now that we've kind of done our assessment, we've done our research, let's do this go, no-go plan. Have a discussion with other stakeholders. Does this fit? Is this the right timing? Are there other initiatives across the company that we need to consider? And it can't be self-led. It can't be one single person's decision on your go, no-go. Because if it's your product management person who's going to say, yes, we're ready to go, well, they have passion in what they've built. They have earnest, right? They've worked laborsome hours on producing that product. It can't be the product marketer because we tend to be like, well, we need to test this a little bit. I need to see more customers. Instead, use a survey method across the company with those stakeholders to understand what is going to be the proper fit. Have we reached that minimal viable product to actually get it in the field? It removes those bias. Now let's say everything's going well and you're ready to go to your next stage for limited availability. Now limited availability takes those lessons learned in your definition partnerships and it expands it. You get a little bit deeper into your go-to-market, your pricing, your packaging, your roadmap. How is this all fitting together? You're going to start working on your messaging, really refining and defining what is your value prop. What are the 3 key things that people are going to remember so that they want to buy your product? And of course, you're going to expand your client relationship. Maybe your definition partnership was with 3 to 5 clients that you could really quickly iterate on, gather their feedback, put it back in the product, and get feedback again. With limited availability, you're going to expand it, possibly 5 to 10 clients, but still the ability to stay pretty agile with their feedback. And you just, again, want to pressure test the solution that you're wanting to launch into the marketplace. From there, you're going to move into what we call our product marketing bill of materials. Now, we are collateral junkies for sure, but defining exactly what your bill of materials is going to help your other stakeholders know what to expect when you're delivering it to your sales team, to your solution consultant, to your implementation manager. And oftentimes, this is resulting in a lot of different types of assets and pieces of collateral that are either used in the field, used for your wider marketing team, or even used for one-off communication that your success manager needs to do. We look at this in a couple of different ways, from your market overviews to your pitch decks, possibly more internal assets that are like your battle cards or your job aids. Those types of assets are here where you want to be producing them. And again, checkpoint, milestone, how are we doing? How do our partners that we brought in on that stage like this? Is our collateral landing? Does that message fit? This is, again, ran through a survey where we want to try to hit that score of a 7.5 or higher, very similar to like your NPS rating. Using those types of survey methodologies helps you gut check where you are in your go-to-market. And at that point, depending on where your scores are, you might actually have to pull back in your plan. You might have to go back to definition partnership and do a little bit of that iterative process that we've been talking about as well throughout these 2 days. And you might be in this definition partnership limited availability loop until you really are ready to refine and define the product and the solution that you're going after, which is okay, right? I know our product management team is often wanting to push it forward. I need to be GA. I need to make sure that everybody can buy this. But you sometimes only have that one time to make that first impression, correct? So if you launch that product too soon, what is that going to do from the sales process? that possibly is going to be put on the list of do not sale. We've seen it, we know it happens. So let's be guardians of those products and make sure that we're really ready to launch when it's appropriate. From there, this is where you're really wanting to pull in those team members, right? And I oftentimes will use a presentation like this with the stakeholders that you're seeing on the line, my product management team, my field team, my implementation consultants, as we've talked about. If I'm able to bring in the SMEs from each of those roles or the one representative that I can, I'm going to present this deck and let them know when we talk about launching new products, here are the stages, and here's what goes into those stages. At this point, I want to be able to pull in those SMEs and let them know this is what we've learned from our customers, here's our target audience, here's the collateral that we have supported. Now, let's go into that internal training mode where I can ensure that I'm empowering each one of these departments to be aligned in the messaging, to be aligned and in sync with the campaign that's following. Taking those teams through this type of process is really encouraging for them, seeing that plan laid out. Again, as product marketers, we are looked to as leaders. Here's a plan that helps define those stages and really clarifies a lot of that go-to-market myth, unclarity. And so building that launch plan is then taking you into that, of course, GA phase. The GA phase is not just going to be one effort. It's not just going to be that one webinar. We understand that we want to launch the product, track those sales through, and then make sure that that product is actually being adopted. It's definitely a multi-tier approach. And of course, we also want to be working with our wider marketing team to understand our inbound strategies, our outbound strategies. How are we keeping this machine running? Your go-to-market plan, of course, is going to, like I said, not stop there. You want to be attracting and, reporting back on your adoption, on your retention, on your support tickets. What's happening there? What troubleshooting methodologies do we need to maybe develop or possibly bring back into the product and fix? And that, of course, that feedback that you're getting, of course, is going to actually influence your collateral that's in the field. It's that iterative process. It's that ability to adjust and be a bit agile as you go and as you learn. So go-to-markets can be pretty lengthy. They can also be shorter depending on the team size, what you guys are focused on. But I think the biggest point of takeaway here is that you want to work with your product management team. You want to work with your key stakeholders on defining your workflow. What does that look like for you guys? What are those key points of handoffs? What are maybe some of those documents that can be put together for accountability, for information share, and to really gut check yourself on these key milestones that you want to hit? Additionally, help to educate your other stakeholders about what you mean when you say go to market. When you say we're ready to launch a new product, we're going after a new customer. What does that mean? And how can they be a part of that plan? And finally, be flexible, right? We've heard this time and time again. I think that's something that product marketers kind of comes with the job description, right? We need to be agile. We need to kind of think from other people's perspectives and understand their processes so that ours fit. So adjust and allow yourself that ability to figure out what is going to work. Some key takeaways here is that, again, your launches are going to be of all shapes and sizes. This plan is that overarching overview, but of course each of those steps are going to have their smaller tasks. So allow yourself to probably t-shirt size your launches, small, medium, large. And again, clearly define how you want to be working with your other cross-functional teams. When do you need to pull them in? When do you need to have those conversations? What are you expecting? And are those expectations, are they right? And finally, just align that team across the board with what's going to drive revenue, what's going to reduce costs, and why is that important. That's it for me. Please, I'm always excited to talk more about go-to-market, how teams approach it, how they're working with their cross-functional teams, and ultimately getting down to the biggest goal, right? Getting that product out the door and making some money. Thank you.
Questions? So just a quick question. Sprinkler is an analytics solution, right? I think.
Yeah, Sprinkler is a customer experience management platform.
Yeah.
So we do have an analytics arm, but we also dive into solutions for marketing, for advertising, and originally Sprinkler was created for social media management, but we've expanded to several different angles of how brands manage that customer experience.
Yeah, and I remember we start using that in my previous job, right? So just curious if you guys are using that for your analytics too.
Yes, we do.
Perfect.
We're definitely a brand that uses our own platform.
Yeah, because it was awesome, and I remember like very easy to use, etc. So I definitely want to see what you guys are doing so we can leverage.
Yes, we do tend to use our own platform. We have an entire team that helps us manage our own social presence, but also using that information to understand how our customers use our platform, where can we make beneficial strides on education, and just even making the UI easier and more intuitive.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay.
You showed a number of different products that probably make up the entire platform. Are you creating a platform, go to market, and then each product rolls up into that?
Mm-hmm. We do, I'm going to answer that in kind of two different fashions. We focus in on our products, and oftentimes we do that in a manner because of our buyer persona. Those who we're going to sell to for our marketing platform is going to have a slightly different persona than those we might sell for our care solution. So we do want to try to create material that's specific to that buyer and compels to their needs. Now, at the same time, with any SaaS platform, and as an employee, I'm going to tell you that our platform works best when you use all of it. So we also position collateral and material messaging that is going to be at the platform level. It also talks about how those products are going to work best together. So we kind of segment based off of who's our audience and who's our buyer.
And then are you specifically thinking about demand gen? Like, are you working and making that recommendation of how that should be kind of divvied up between the to hit the goals?
So in terms of how we work with our demand gen team, how are they creating their campaigns off of that platform play?
The go-to-market plan, how is the demand gen kind of consuming that and then getting back to you with like, here are results, rolling that back up to the go-to-market plan?
Similar fashion, we're going to target our audience based off of their needs. So if our demand gen team is wanting to drive more revenue for our care product, we're going to probably be a little bit more specific on care. If we want to do more of a brand positioning and letting them know about our entire platform, that's where we're going to be using more of our complete suite messaging, or we call it our unified front office. And so the ability to connect those products that's going to be kind of another channel or another route. Now, how we pepper that through and how we integrate that message, I always kind of look at it as our corporate and our brand messaging is always going to be about Sprinkler as a whole, the entity working together. That's going to be kind of that early phases of the funnel. And as we start to refine and whittle down to your needs, that's where we're probably going to get a little bit more product focus and more feature function to solve direct pain points.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? So while I walk, I have a question for you. So that was a long set of, like, I'm trying to imagine it on a board. That was a really long process. Yes. Can you give us any actual stories of like where you really hit a roadblock and how you solved it to get to that whole process and how it's now working?
Sure. I think the first thing is having a kickoff call with your stakeholders. Even if your stakeholder doesn't need to be involved with the project further down, a month or so, it's always nice to just set the stage of what is the plan. Now, more of a specific story of where we've hit some roadblocks is truly the product functionality might be taking a bit longer to develop. And those types of, we're not quite hitting our milestones yet, we're not quite there. The biggest thing you can do is just have communication. We never disclose a specific launch date, mainly because we want to have that flexibility with our customers. We want to give I guess, the ability to adjust and not commit to a client saying, we're going to have this on July 1. That puts a lot of strain on the many different facets that go into go-to-market. And instead, we're really pretty protective about that timeline. And we give pretty broad general dates to our customers. We obviously expose our roadmap with our customers and have that type of discussion. But we do always let them know that, hey, it's technology. We're very consistent of hitting those dates, but we're also going to be very communicative when we're not. And I think that's probably the biggest point when you're hitting those roadblocks, that tech is just not coming through, and it happens. That you have to be able to have that conversation with internal stakeholders as well as those customers who are probably really anticipating that type of feature.
That was basically my question. It was a little bit more focused on the no-go, and how you manage that relationship with the product owners who are like, let's go, and you're like, let's wait a little bit longer in this limited availability, and focus a little bit more on that internal communication.
Yep. I think the biggest thing that has helped, because we've struggled in that same fashion, especially when we were really just defining and refining our go-to-market, is that go, no-go cannot be a single person's decision. We originally thought as product marketers that we could be pretty influential in that decision-making process, but that product manager is going to be pretty passionate about what they've developed. So removing it from being a single person's decision helps us have a more constructive conversation. So a survey methodology where we're able to actually pull in customer feedback helps us lean on that customer feedback for that point of discussion. And we're also, because we're involving those stakeholders much earlier in the process to just define the full go-to-market, we can pull in their opinions and their feedback to say, are we really ready? Is this working? So that type of removal of a single point person to make that decision and that call has helped us tremendously to not only have a better constructive conversation, but also to open the lens of this isn't just your single point of project. This is going to impact many different aspects of the business, and it's a business decision if we decide to keep it held back.
Anybody else? Well, thank you, Holly. That was really good. And we are breaking for lunch, so enjoy. Talk to each other.